My name is Deborah Isaac, and I am the host of Houdini Battle, along with my co-organizer, Armin. Hi, Armin.
Hello.
I'm also the founder of Houdini.School and a longtime educator and lover of Houdini. So that's me. And next, Armin, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey everyone, my name is Armin Lutfi. I'm a 3D artist from Iran, currently living in Munich, Germany. I work at a studio called Small GmbH. And in my spare time, I create tutorials, teach at Houdini School, and help Deborah organize the Houdini battles.
Yay! And Justin, are you still here? Thanks for commentating with us.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Justin Dykehouse. I've been a commentator on Houdini battles for the first few. Very proud to see this get off the ground. And happy to be here with you all. I work as a Houdini generalist and visual effects artist at Magnopus in downtown Los Angeles, California.
Woohoo! Awesome, thanks. And our players. So first, Yuri, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Yuri Vieitas. I've been working in effects for about 5 years at Sony, also at Icon Animation Studios. I'm currently at Spin VFX. I've worked on DD as well. Also worked on Marvel movies, She-Hulk, Antman, and True Spirit that just came out, actually.
So cool. And you're joining us from Montreal, is that right?
From Toronto, yes.
Oh, sorry.
I'm originally from Brazil, but yeah, currently living in Toronto.
Awesome. Nitsan.
So hello everyone, I am Nitsan Tregerman. I am a Houdini artist living in Israel. I've been using Houdini for the last 3 years or so. Been learning it by myself. And I really like Vex and I really like motion graphics. And I share my stuff on GitHub and YouTube and stuff. So
that's so cool. Yeah, love your work, Nitsan.
Thank you.
Pablo.
Hi, my name is Pablo Soto. I'm from Costa Rica. I'm a Houdini artist too, working as a VFX artist for Prodigious UK, mostly advertising, but it covers every single kind of effect.
Awesome. And Christos.
Hi everyone, I'm Christos. I'm originally from Greece. Now I'm located in Toronto, working for Side Effects in the labs team. No pressure whatsoever. Yeah, that's all. I'll try to use as many labs tools as I can. Again,
Nice.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure.
And
All
also
eyes
I'm
on
going
you,
to.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's now time to spin the wheels. Okay, so let me share my screen real quick here. Okay, what do we got for themes? Can everyone see this? Let's zoom in. Okay,
Yeah.
so we got
a new wheel, by the way.
we have a new wheel. Okay, so rainbow, geometric, abstract, chubby, magic. Are we ready?
It's not abstract.
I like these
I'm
themes.
terrible.
And
Do we have rainbow? We have rainbow. Yay.
Rainbow, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see some colors, whatever else we see.
the sound effect too. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's people clapping.
I couldn't hear it.
Okay, next. So we have rainbow. Next is objects. We have fish, flower, fungi, piñata, and cake.
Oh my God.
Any wishes?
Oh my God.
Okay.
What are you guys hoping for?
Oh no.
Oh,
Like a
okay.
fungi.
Lovely.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like this one. I like this already.
Yeah, this combination was my
Rainbow,
favorite.
fungi, everyone. Okay, so the next step is everybody share your screen.
It's going to be a colorful Last of Us.
Yes, exactly.
Pretty
That was
much.
the idea behind it.
Everyone's obsessed with this. Okay. So we're just missing Christos. Christos, where are you? Share your
I'm
screen.
here. Oh yeah, sure. Sorry. Yeah.
Don't start yet.
By the way, I'm pausing my video so that I can
Sure.
put my phone in front of my eyes so that I can see stuff better. And if I have my video on, it would look so weird. So
Okay,
I'm
we'll
turning
miss
it off.
you, but we know you're
yeah,
here.
I will turn it on when like it's finished.
So we have 1 hour. Everyone put your timers on. And on your mark, get set and go.
Right.
Great.
Have fun, everyone.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck. So Justin, who should we start
Yeah.
with first?
Who do you want to start with?
Oh, that's a great question. So in order to look around at the different screens, we can go to the top of our Zoom screen, go down under view options and choose the different shared screens. We've got Christos, we've got Nitsan, we've got Pablo, and we've got Yuri.
Yeah.
So those are our 4 choices. So kind of as we go along, we'll try to call out which one we're looking at. So if viewers at home want to follow along, they can. But at any time, anyone can look at any one screen.
Thank
So
you. for that.
Okay.
yeah, let's
Let's-
take a look at Christos first. Let's see what he's got to say.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
We'll
Christos.
start with the
Christos
lab
is
single
already
saves.
starting. Oh,
Oh
Chris-
my
he's not
goodness.
he's
Yeah.
not jumping in with
No
some reference. He's got a
references.
Oh, I did.
He's
There it
very-
is. I'm
Oh.
very
we
fast
didn't see
already.
it.
very fast. Okay.
Now I know.
So one
Alright,
particular
yeah.
kind of fungi, we've got some edible mushrooms that we're going to see here. And Christos, of course, as a side effects team member on the labs team, is going to be showing us how it's done, hopefully. So I'm
Already the simple shapes. I didn't even know about this. And I'm really into the simple formula, but I've
It's
never
a
seen
recent
this one.
addition.
Okay.
Yeah. It's one of my babies, actually.
One of your
Oh,
babies.
wow.
Please make sure to take
Nice.
it out. Yes.
Nice.
simple
That's
shapes,
we're
a
seeing-
Houdini Battle exclusive. You've seen it here first, folks.
Exactly.
So Christos is copying stuff onto the points he scattered. We have a bunch of lines.
Nice.
He looks like he laid down a simple shape and then put a scatter and a line node on top of that to scatter a bunch of points onto that shape. So he's defining the initial shape, the area in which he's going to be
Yeah.
scattering. Then he's saying, okay, I want a line to be copied onto each of those points. And it looks like he's randomizing
Randomizing the position.
a position of the dots
How did-
within the points within the
How
line.
did those lines get that way?
He was randomizing the point positions.
Oh.
With the
Doi.
attribute randomized.
Got it.
Indeed, but
And now he's actually using the attribute noise.
a noise instead of a randomness, which
Yeah.
would be completely random between 0 and 1 each time you roll it. You can have a noise, which can have sort of a coherent sort of a gradient between 1 and 0. Looks a little bit nicer to see and a little bit more natural than random usually.
So the attribute noise and the attribute adjust vector, I mean, they're the same, right? Like you just put, it's just the attribute noise is ready to go with noise versus attribute adjust vector.
They're
You have
similar, but attribute adjust vector actually does a couple more stuff.
yeah.
But I would say for displacing points, probably attribute noise
It's
might
quicker.
be a better choice because attribute vector isn't really like defined for specifically moving points. It's just
Right.
very
The
general,
default is
but yeah.
velocity, but the noise is the default is point position. So it's the mountain, it's the new mountain.
I mean, you still
Yeah.
have the mountain. You can just pick mountain. It's the same node as attribute noise, but it's really like predefined with the default values that would that you can use to essentially displace along the normals. But with attribute noise, by default, it doesn't have a checkbox for that. You need to check it if you want it to be displaced along the normal.
Right.
Looks
Cool.
like Christos is well on his way. We've got a for each loop going on. So let's leave him for now. Let's take a look at Nitsin and see and what I expect to see. Good
Thank
things
you.
when we come back to Christos.
Christos was being stressed.
So over on Nitsin's
So we
screen,
have
Pure ref.
references. Pure ref, yeah.
looks like a fly agaric mushroom there, if I know my funguses.
Oh,
And
I had no idea the names. That's very cool.
well, I might be making that up, so don't get too impressed.
You didn't have to tell us that.
But so let's see. So we've got a
He's
curve.
designing the profile of the
Mhm.
mushroom, and he's going to revolve it to get the final shape. I'm guessing.
That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense because the mushroom
Mhm.
has that sort of radially symmetrical shape if you look down the long axis. So if you could define the silhouette with a curve and then rotate that around a point in space, you can end up with a nice organic looking shape with just a few nodes.
And you can just go back and tweak the curves, get several different iterations of it very easily. So
Nice.
very
Indeed.
flexible.
Because with the procedural power of Houdini, of course, that previous curve is always there. You can go back and edit it, and that geometry will kind of iterate down through the nodes.
Exactly.
So he's able to make a pretty well-defined shape here. I wonder if he'll be going for a more photorealistic rainbow fungi, or if he's yet to add some stylized points to the stylized touches to it.
Cute.
Very, very interesting. And let's see, now it looks like, okay, so he's just adjusted the position of all his nodes. So when he was laying down a lot of nodes, they were sort of in no particular order. And now he's adjusted them so you can easily see the flow of the two data streams into the merge there.
And it's already coming together pretty nicely. You
Yeah.
can see the mushroom now.
Indeed. And because it's, I think it's Bezier curves he's using, or whatever curves he's using, they have implicit UVs in them. And so as he's building this geometry, it's already got coherent UVs on it, which is kind of an advantage rather than having to build the geometry and then go back and add the UVs to it.
And it seems like he's also going with the scatter technique. So he's going to be scattering a bunch of these mushrooms on the surface.
Indeed, I think we'll probably see a little bit more of that too, because it's a good thing you see in nature a lot with the fruiting bodies of these funguses to be all sort of grouped in a colony area. So that makes sense to kind of imitate that.
Oh, and he is going to be making an attribute for probably a multiplying attribute to multiply the p-scale with that. So he's actually painting it instead of using maybe a noise or a randomizer.
Nice, very interesting. It's good that you can have that sort of choice between if you want to hand place an attribute or if you want to generate the attribute from noise or randomness or something like that. It's cool to see both those in use.
Yeah, I think most people don't realize how much painting capabilities there are in Houdini. So I like to, as a teacher, I think it's important to show students right away.
I mean, if you remember from, I think it was our previous battle where Adrian Lambert was here and he modeled a spaceship directly in the viewport. So he
I remember that.
Literally modeled that. Oh, it was the same. Yeah, Christos was in that battle.
Of course, I
Adrian
remember
just
that.
directly modeled everything by hand. He wasn't using procedural, at least traditional procedural approaches. He would model something and then he would lay down the nodes, change them, and then go back to the viewport, which was very new for me and very cool to see.
Also, I like that Nitsan is using VOPs and Vex.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the best of both, right? Noises.
But also it makes quite a lot of sense to use an attribute VOP when you're trying to work with noise because you can easily visualize it. I'm guessing that's why he's using it, but obviously you could do similar stuff in an attribute wrangle as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good choice. It's a VOP going, let's see, it's a VOP going into a wrangle. So really, and I think the wrangle, unless I'm mistaken, is being used to just kind of wrangle a few parameters easily, just add a couple of sliders basically to make it just a little easier to art direct rather than doing any heavy lifting of the geometry. It's just kind of providing an easy way to make some tweaks, which is a really good use of the node, I think.
Yeah. Should we maybe switch to Pablo?
Yeah, by all means. So we're going to go up to the view options at the top of the screen and select under shared screens, Pablo Soto.
Okay, so Pablo seems to be also having a similar approach with scattering points, but he is using a PubNet. I'm very curious what he's doing with simulation.
Simulations are always exciting. Of course, simulation is a strong point in Houdini, but in these Houdini battles, of course, time is of the essence. And so simulation is quite a risk, but it can pay off big. Now, a pop sim or a
high
PopNet
risk,
is
high reward.
high risk, high reward, indeed. A pop simulation is, of course, particle operator simulator and or simulation. And these tend to go a lot faster because it's a lot less data for it to crunch than if there was like a liquid or a pyro sim. So a pop sim, we might be able to see something rather quickly.
I think we've
so I think
never
it's a good choice.
seen a flip simulation in the Houdini battles, because that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, we've had Vellum though.
Yeah, Vellum is also very fast. So I would say Pop networks and Vellum simulations are probably the better choices for a battle. But I'm curious if someone will at some point actually end up using maybe the flip simulation.
I'd be
Yeah, the new
interested to see
flip
that
flop.
too.
Brave. Very
Brave
brave.
soul.
Now, so we saw some points coming out of the points that are scattered there. So Pablo, it looks like he's spawning some points out of the points that he laid down, and they were kind of going directly up, or at least at the camera. I think they were following the normal of those points he put down, which is an easy way that you can lay down some points and add a pop net to that. And those particles say, oh, I see, you have a normal here. I'll just go ahead and start using that as my velocity. So sort of a way to grow or emit some points very easily.
And of course, we have a SOP solver, and inside the SOP solver, we're actually using SOP nodes. And it seems like he's using it to connect them together, resample it, and probably do something with that later. We shall see.
Indeed.
I'm guessing maybe adding a noise to the velocity, but who knows?
Yeah, adding a simulation to a Houdini network is a way that we sort of bring time into the equation. Something happens and then that changes, and then the previous simulation is used to compute the previous step is used to compute the next step. So it's a very interesting way of working, can result in some really interesting and unexpected results, but also can be quite hard to manage. Oh my goodness. Well, a pyrosaurus, all
we
right.
have a brave contestant here. Brave player indeed.
So we'll see if that's being used for a pyro simulation. It could just be used as a
it could just
a way
be
to get some
sourcing some points and then maybe adjusting them later.
Oh, but now he's rasterizing those.
Yep.
And we have a pyro solver. Okay, we've got a.
All righty then.
He's trying it.
Oh my God.
He's going to mess around and find out. So let's take a quick look while he's laying those down. I want to keep that mystery. I want to go back and see what that is. But we'll look at Yuri's screen now. So Yuri's listed as.
He has a stem already.
Last one there. Oh, I see. Okay. So we've got a
we
stem.
Getting the bound. So we're trying to select a group. Interesting. Very good technique to just use the boundary of the object, just adjust it to a certain height or width based on your object, and then just select the points based on that.
Certainly, very good procedural way to keep the proceduralism in, because if you change the size of the stem, then the selection group will also change accordingly.
Then since it's using the bound, it will sort of automatically adjust. So one less thing to worry about.
Indeed. I think this is a really good, well-formed stem we've got going on here. And I'm curious to see, it looks like Yuri's got a sort of a wide monitor. I think he's got a different aspect ratio than most of them, which is handy because in Houdini, you kind of want the most, you want as much screen real estate as you can possibly get if you're anything like me.
Yeah, I like to just put my viewport on the second monitor, so the entire thing is just taking the whole screen and the geometry spreadsheet to just be able to see the raw data, and then one monitor just the network view and the parameters, so that I have a lot of room to explore.
Yeah, I like that. I think it was Deb, I think it was at your place I saw for the first time you had turned a monitor upright and we're using that as just that monitor. The only thing it was displaying was the geometry spreadsheet. So you get maximum visibility of the geometry spreadsheet in that configuration. It's a lot of different ways.
Funnily enough, I actually have a similar setup at work. I use
very good.
A vertical monitor just for the spreadsheet.
Very good. Yeah, we live or die by the geometry spreadsheet in Houdini. That's the source of truth. So let's see, a little bit more work on the stem here, I think.
Very detailed stem, and of course using a ramp to really get it exactly like what he wants.
It looks like Yuri's concentrating on building a really good procedural model of the mushroom. It looks like he's concentrating on building something that could be turned into an asset. Oh, I want to make lots of different types of mushrooms. I can use this asset as a starting place. Very interesting way to go. Oh,
and we have a top. We actually never saw the.
he's put
Oh
the
my
top on
God,
there.
come on,
Look at
guys.
that. With the color in there too. We have a nice red point color that's sort of fading off to white at the sides. This is great.
45
Again,
minutes.
Very photorealistic, more
actually,
photorealistic looking mushroom.
Using a mask from geometry, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a distance from geometry node. Exactly. So,
Mass from geometry.
yeah, but he's using the distance one. So he's actually getting the distance from that particular object. Yeah.
Interesting. So everywhere that blue cap is touching the geometry, it's red, and everywhere it's not, it's white. And there's a fall off between the two and gives you that nice red to white gradient at the edges, like you see in nature.
It's so cool.
Yeah, very clever.
And he's defining a threshold for the mask. So he's going to be doing something based on it.
Very nice. We're going to have a very well-formed mushroom HDA at the end of this, I think. Let's go around now that we've taken an initial look at everyone, and let's go back and see what Christos has for us.
Christos.
Oh no. I'm here, you guys. I'm here.
How many more labs nodes have you managed to fit in? Let's see.
No.
What if it results in a mushroom labs tool at the end of this battle?
I failed.
But this
already.
is starting to look very cool, I gotta say.
I
Indeed.
like
We have
this
a
a lot.
bunch of stems. It looks very organic. Like if you look at the way fungi grows, they actually kind of grow like this. So it's starting to be, and it looks like a macro shot to me. So you're zooming in on a very, very tiny section of fungi, and then just you're showing that. It's very cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Indeed.
It's beautiful.
Where are my normals?
Exactly.
I'm losing my
So
normal.
his caps were not particularly oriented, I'm guessing correctly, towards where he wanted them to be. Yeah, so he needs to introduce normals now.
Everybody save.
Oh, yes. Remember to save.
Very important.
Now, these, if I'm not mistaken, look like enoki mushrooms.
Oh, you definitely know your way around mushrooms, because I'm just.
Well, I know my
can
way
judge
around
them
a
based on
Google
the
image search.
Have a mycologist on board.
Now this is interesting. So we're seeing these turquoise lines kind of shooting off of the points on the line. And as you see, they're more or less oriented towards the next point in the line. They're sort of defining that. I believe that's the tangent of the line. So we're getting sort of a what is it? Tangent U-tan. I forget exactly what the name of it is, but it's a very handy vector attribute to have. If you know the direction in which the line travels, then there's a lot of things you can do to place things along that line, or to use that orientation to give all kinds of like very plausible looking sort of natural deformations. Now, in this case, he's orienting the caps of the mushrooms to, it looks like the tangent at the end of the line, which is of course what we would expect to see, the cap at the end of the stem there. So I think we're coming along quite well here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to actually look like fungi.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think an hour's too long, you guys.
We've got,
Well, you can
we've
focus
got
on the rendering.
1 hour is this sort of spent among such admirable hobbits.
All right, maybe we should switch to Nitsan now to
sure.
see
let's
his progress.
Take a look at
Okay,
what
he has a
Nitsan
lot
has.
of new references.
Including some cartoon mushrooms there.
I like it.
So I'm curious if we're gonna see a stylized mushroom now.
Yeah, we'll have sort of all sorts going on. Oh, look at this.
Oh,
Oh,
and
it's
it's
doing a little
dancing.
dance.
That's awesome. I love it. Grooving.
This is great. The stem of the mushroom sort of moving. I think he's moving noise along the stem, and so it's kind of conforming. But since the noise is coherent, if you move it down in one direction, then the stem seems to be dancing as it's moving in response to this moving noise. Very cool. Fun
And of
animation.
course, since he's using the same points, he's just using the last point. So when the stem is moving, the last point is moving, he's selecting the last point to copy it. So the cap will always remain on top, which is what you want to see. You don't want the stem to be moving around and just cap staying in the same place.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've got some real, I think this challenge is a great one. I think that the fact that there's not going to be a huge deviation and everybody's going to have sort of similar forms allows us to see a lot of the different takes in how they construct this form, which I think is really neat. I like in Houdini Battle, there's all different kinds of battles. Sometimes there's lots of different sort of forms that the different things take. And in some cases, everybody's kind of making the same thing, which can be very informative too, like this. But I wonder if the animation is going to make it into the final product. I hope it is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, no pressure, but
no pressure, but we want a fully animated, rendered, audio edited.
No
dance
pressure
into an
except all the
audio
pressure.
with motion effects. So
right.
You bring the sound in and then you animate it based on that. So it's responding to the sound.
We wanted to send some MIDI events via chops, please, to a drum machine. Interesting. Okay, so now we're looking through one of the camera views. We're looking through a front camera view, and that means that any lines that you place down, as he's placing down here, will be right at 0. And so this is a really good way if you're going to lay down a profile shape or something like that. You can lay it down in the front view or the side view or one of those, sort of like a plan view, and then revolve it or extrude it or any of the different operations that you might do.
And don't forget the
And
magnet
also one
tools on the left.
Yeah, for sure. You can use those to align things. But one thing that I really like here is that he is actually naming everything as he goes forward. So he's naming his attribute swap. He's naming the geo container. He's staying very organized.
Your nodes in a battle. Yeah. Oh my God, you're so organized.
It's a good way to get some bonus points.
Yeah, but also it might become something that you just need a tiny amount of time and maybe you're losing it. So it's going to be very interesting to see if he's going to stay disorganized by the end of the battle.
Yeah, it's also interesting to think, does it actually save you time? Because you know what everything is if you're organized. In the end of the day, does it save you time, actually?
Yeah. I mean, in a production, you always have to name everything. Sometimes maybe another artist takes over and then they will be completely lost if you're just giving them attribute wrangle 1, wrangle 2, wrangle 3, wrangle 4, and then you'll be like, what am I dealing with here?
We've all been there. Oh, we got a little face, I think.
Yeah, it's laughing.
A little happy mushroom face. Now there's something going on with the orientation so that it's kind of switching back and forth. I think he's going to have to iron that out a little bit, but we can see that this seems to be spawning based on the position of one of the points in the line. And so that will also move. The face will also move along with the stem as it's doing its happy dance. This is very encouraging to see. I think we will get to see, I dare say we'll get to see a stylized mushroom after all.
Very cool.
So we have 36 minutes left.
Let's switch to Pablo maybe, because we want to see the progress. Oh wow, Pablo is doing something crazy.
Oh my God.
So moving over to Pablo's screen.
Some rainbow. We're starting to see some rainbow.
Yeah, we're seeing rainbow. We are seeing a very complex shape, which I'm loving here.
Awesome. I love this.
Yeah, we're sort of seeing like a hexagonal sort of dome with some deformation to it.
I don't know.
Cyberpunk fungi. Heck fungi.
This is a tight race. This is going to be hard to vote.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a great reminder, Deb. Remember, everybody gets to do a little voting at the end. So everybody keep track, all the participants, all the audience members and everybody, be sure and keep track of what you like about what you're seeing and get active in the chat afterwards when it comes time to vote.
Yeah.
We're going to be interested to hear everybody's viewpoint because there's sometimes audience members can see stuff that we as commentators don't see. We'd love to learn about that. So
also sometimes people in the audience participate and they don't say anything. So if anyone's actually doing this at home, let us know and put your art in the too.
Send it
Ooh.
at the end when you're finished. Please send it in the Discord server.
We love to see it.
I'd like one of these in my place. Like I'd buy a mushroom that looks like this.
Oh, so it's growing up, and then we have this shape. So I'm wondering if these are going to be the caps, or if it's actually going to grow from these empty holes.
Oh
It's
my
going to be very
goodness.
interesting to see.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't know which one I like more. Both sound very interesting to me.
Now, this is sort of reminding me, there's a mushroom, I think it's called the bamboo mushroom or something. And it
I
has,
really know a lot about mushrooms.
it's sort of like a lace that it throws out as it grows. And it sort of looks
Ooh.
like that hexagonal. Now it actually looks like a Voronoi as well. So another
Yeah.
Houdini stalwart. So we'll see. But I think with this,
Very cool shape, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
yeah, and the pop net that we're getting some really interesting shapes here. And then maybe that sort of dome will kind of go
So,
along with
to me,
the
it
growth.
seems like he is using a smoke simulation to advect
Oh, right.
the points
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
PubNet.
Right.
So,
Indeed.
And then
and
the stop
he's-
solver creates
yeah.
extra geometry that's needed.
Beautiful use of some of the strengths of Houdini
Yeah.
here to use
Yeah.
these different solvers, but with using them to advect points, you can keep the density or the the size of the volume fairly low, which means that it's low resolution, which
Yeah,
means that it
very
computes faster.
easy solver, very simple solver, because you don't really need to see the density. You don't need to really render the smoke simulation itself, but you can still use the data to just manipulate your points. And then your PubNet simulation can actually be quite heavy. You can bump it up.
Right.
Indeed. As we're starting to see here, we're seeing some really beautiful forms coming out of these simple interactions between these solvers. Another strength of Houdini is that these solvers are kind of written in such a way that when you lay them down, you can kind of chain them together. If you know what you're doing, even just a little bit, you can get some really interesting results. So really neat to see this great, really compelling motion that we're seeing
Yeah,
here.
I love it.
Mhm. Okay, so I think we should switch to Yuri, maybe.
Great.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, beautiful.
We have a
Some
beautiful cap.
lovely detail on this.
Yeah, using VDB techniques, which is super common when you're dealing with geometry and you just want something uniform. You don't want to spend so much time just modeling something. You just put the stuff together and just remesh them, get a nice VDB, convert it back to a polygon very easily.
Definitely. Great way to make geometry, especially if you're looking for something a little bit more organic in feel, and especially if you're going to be combining shapes. This is a great way to do it. And I think we're seeing the evidence of that here in this very convincing looking mushroom that's being put together.
I mean, this could actually turn into an object that you can use in a scene. You can even bake your textures on it, so you can get maybe a low-res version that you can use as a placeholder, and then bring your textures, high quality textures, and render something in very high quality.
Nice.
Absolutely. And looking at the network view that I'm able to see here, I'm not seeing as many nodes as one might expect. So he's being very compact and very elegant. He's putting down the nodes that he needs. He's optimizing as he goes and keeping those neat. And some of us who compulsively have to keep our node networks neat really appreciate that.
And it seems like he is putting the pivot at the center with a simple expression. Of course, you can use many different ways of doing this. One is using expressions. You can also use other HScript stuff. For example, you can use bbox for it. You can get Centroid to really place it where you want, but a simple expression can just do the same thing for you.
He deleted the expression to keep the values, but not the expression.
Yeah, just wanted
the advantage of that though. Why
Yeah, he
not?
wanted to just get the value, Control-Shift-click it. If you don't need it to always stay, like if it's not animated, you just don't need it. He just wanted to place it directly at the center, and then he's done.
Right. I just wonder why not just keep the expression.
But maybe he needs it to really just affect that exact place. I mean, we don't know.
We're trying to get into your head, Yuri.
I'll be interested to
But-
hear about that on while we review and while he sort of walks us through his node networks, which again is another thing we like
Yeah,
to do.
you can tell us later. Keep going.
Yeah, you can tell us later.
Yeah. Don't
So,
worry about it right now.
Everyone watching, you'll get to be walked through these node networks. So your humble commentators are of course only guessing what's going through these
Yeah, exactly.
Houdini
And
wizards'
if you
minds.
guys notice, when he was making the group, he called the group name $OS, and he just renamed the group.
Yes,
So $OS will just pick up the name of your node, and like that, you're just using the actual name of the node. Whatever you rename it to, it's gonna stay. It's gonna just automatically update. So it's a really nice way of just instead of naming it every time, you just name the actual node itself.
Indeed. Now we're doing a little bit of looks like point color ramp interpolation here. So he's laying down some colors that now colors in Houdini, of course, can be used as color, but they can also be used to guide other aspects of the geometry being built. So it could be that he's making the color ramp here just to make it easy to visualize, and then he's going to use the data for something else. Or he could be laying down some color that is going to be picked up later by a material or just used in the viewport render. Let's
28
see.
minutes. So we're getting down.
Okay, so maybe we can switch to Christos again.
Okay, we're going back
Ah.
over to Christos' screen just to give him a little thrill.
Well, Christos is not staying true to his word. He just used one labs tool and then he was done. So
What? That's
I
true.
will be remembering that.
Where's all
Oh.
the labs tools?
So much same.
But of course, we're just joking.
Now
You
it
can
looks
use
like,
everything you want.
yeah, Christos, it looks like it's gone back and is doing a little bit of additional work early in his node network. And obviously he's putting down a very colorful ramp here. So I think we're going to start to see the rainbow aspect here.
I'm
There we
going for the
go.
rainbow.
And instead of using the usual linear interpolation between the colors, he actually switched it to constant, I believe.
Yeah.
So now he's actually getting the colors directly sort of cut off. So it's the exact values that he wants.
Also, attribute adjust color is also a cool node to use in this situation.
Oh, nice.
Now, I would caution our host against
Yeah.
giving aid to the individual.
Well, it kind of is.
competitors.
I want to say that because this node does what he's was doing previously. It's such a cool node, you guys. Attribute adjust color.
Overall, the adjust nodes, whether
Yeah.
it's the float adjust, vector adjust, color adjust, integer adjust, they're all really, really helpful. Especially like the float adjust node. It's I think the node that I use the most in my setup. Like I'm always using it. You can do so many things with it. Like one of the stuff that is just super easy to do with it is just getting the bounding box. So you can just get your
Right.
shape, switch it to bounding box, you get the bounding box, you get an attribute on it, so you easily just remap attribute with it.
Very handy series of nodes.
Kind of long name for a node. That's my only feedback on that.
Attribute
Yeah, but you
adjust.
can
A lot of syllables.
just type AFA, for example, and it will automatically pick
Yeah.
attribute that just float.
God, so many little secret tips.
So,
Oh, look. Oh, what?
taking
Yeah.
another peek at
What's
the
that?
delicious reference,
Yes, that was.
making a slight adjustment to maybe the shape of one of the caps. And of course, this is one cap that's been created that's being instanced onto all these points. So if you make one change to that cap geometry, it instances itself across the other stems. It's an easy way to make adjustments to a lot of geometry at once. Another sort of powerful thing that Houdini offers, that procedural workflow, is
And of
changes
course,
made
it's,
further
yeah,
up in the node network will propagate down.
yeah, definitely. And of course, he's adjusting the girth of the stems with the sweep node. You can use a unified value in the sweep node just to adjust everything. And of course, as always, you can just get very specific, set up something very complex to affect some of them. But it seems like the default values of the sweep node is actually getting the job done here.
Indeed. And as we can see, he's adjusting the scale ramp. So that's the scale of the sweep along the curve. So you can think of this curve on the screen as kind of the profile of the stem, and where the curve is taller, the stem is fatter. And so it's fatter at the bottom, and then it thins out through the middle. And that's an adjustment that's simple to make and a very visual, easy to understand adjustment there.
And we have our rainbow here.
Some more color. And we're going to do, I think we've got a good chunk of mushrooms here that are, I think some of them are intersecting with each other. So it's not that they've pushed each other apart. These have been instanced in spaces, so they may be a little close to each other. They may be overlapping each other sometimes. And let's see the colors. Oh, the colors
so
are quite vivid. I like it.
We are instancing a quad sphere here now.
A lab squad sphere.
Ah,
This is the second lab stool.
Yeah, so this is like,
Oh
come
my
on, man.
God. I'm the
Come
worst.
on.
I know. Sorry.
these are well selected labs nodes, though, I will say. The simple shapes and the quad sphere, these are very useful.
The two most simple
nodes.
labs tools ever.
I prefer to say two more of the useful labs tools, but yeah.
Well, by the way, that the simple shapes one is I know it's my baby, but it's please check it out. It's a great tool to make like simple shapes like triangles and stars.
I actually use it a lot. It's a very handy node. So you get a lot of variety with your shape. You can adjust it. You can actually even customize it. So it's very, very helpful node.
That's great. To make squares, I've been using the grid tool, so I will instead start using the simple shapes.
I'm gonna use simple
shapes. A bit more variety.
Yay!
Yay!
Someone's win.
And so let's see some more adjustment being made to the caps here.
It seems like he's taking the cap, he's scattering a bunch more points on it. So he's trying to add like these tiny shapes on top of the cap, which of course makes it more realistic, makes it closer to the what you can find in nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these could be protuberances on the cap itself, or maybe these will be.
Yeah, thanks. I was missing the correct name. I just refer to them as dots.
Dots. So yeah, some good detail going on here. I think this is coming along well. Mm-hmm. Should we look at Nitsin?
Yeah.
All right, switching over to Nitsin screen. We've got a whole
colony. We have a dancing squad.
We've got a whole colony of little dancing monsters. I love it.
Happy.
Yeah, and it's being remapped. It seems like the ramp is being animated, so the attribute is actually going up and down on the cap, which makes it more, I would say, a happier mushroom. And it seems like he's writing the P scale value, so he's fitting the mask value, which we saw him paint before, and he's fitting it probably between the minimum and maximum.
That would make sense. So again, use of the wrangle as a sort of utility node to kind of get all these values into a single space and then adjust them, sort of taking all the upstream values, processing them and making them easy to adjust. Very smart way to work. You're making yourself able to just tweak sliders back and forth and make good, useful changes to these things rather than have to go and find where was that attribute that was created in this node and tweak it there. So it's very, very sane way to work, I think. Oh, I love it. I love it because the colors are moving on these caps
Yeah.
too. I think somebody has maybe partaken of one of these happy little mushrooms. That's what it makes me think of.
Exactly. That's what I was also thinking about.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
How fun. Now we'll notice that the face again is kind of still swapping back and forth between the different sides of the stem as the animation goes.
Usually this happens when you have a moving curve and you're using the tangent, you're calculating it. It might jump over from this side to that side due to the movement and due to the calculation. So sometimes you need to actually figure out a way to fix that. With certain nodes, of course, there are ways to fixing it. For example, in the orient along curve node, there are options for it, which you can check to actually make it just stand on one side.
Exactly so. And here we see him using the scale ramp as well on the sweep, just as we saw, I apologize, I forget who we were looking at, but we saw them adjusting the sweep profile, that is the sweep along the curve.
Christos.
Christos? Yeah.
Christos, okay, yeah. So we're seeing that here again. We're seeing a similar kind of approach where we're changing the profile of the sweep along the curve to make it a little bit more appealing.
All right.
Check in with
look at
Pablo. Yeah.
Yep.
Moving to Pablo. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
gracious.
Pablo is
Look at
rendering.
this.
Wow.
We've got a render view up, folks. Warning, warning. I hope Pablo has been saving, because this is a good chance for us to see some crash screens is when the renders start to come out.
Although Redshift is quite stable, so I would say as long as the geometry is not super dense, you should be good.
That's beautiful.
Interesting. It is. And it looks like there's some bioluminescence to this as well. And I'm not as familiar with Redshift as maybe some of the people in this competition are, so I'm not going to be able to provide a lot of useful insight into what's going on.
So he's using some presets for the color right now, just for the look. But I wonder if we're also gonna maybe enable that for field later, because this type of setups actually would probably work very well with the field.
Yeah.
He's also using bloom to get some post effects here. So obviously the shiny parts now, the emission is gonna look a little blurry, but also kind of more realistic when you think about it, especially if you're using the camera. As you can see, we have a glare, we have the bloom.
I see. Okay.
17 minutes.
Which
And
these
so-
presets, of course, are super nice if you're in a hurry, if you're trying to get a specific look. You just put them together. You don't need to composite anything later. You just wire them together. You just enable them, and then you're good to go. Of course, you should try not to overdo it, because sometimes when people use these effects, it gets distracting, but a nice balance could actually really improve the render.
Very well said. Nobody likes to see too much of anything. But
Yeah.
if you can use these effects tastefully, then that can really take your render to the next level. So this is really interesting to see that some of the look development happening at the same time as like kind of discovering the shot. And I think we'll see, I do see some of the rainbow. I do see some like sort of multicolor, looks like a random color on either probably on the points kind of coming through here. So,
and I would like to mention one thing. It seems like he is actually using the old material, old Redshift material. So Redshift recently introduced this RS standard material, which is their new material. It uses new techniques. You can also have access to a thin film material, for example, within the standard material. You can adjust a lot of new stuff, but he is actually using the old version. And I do wonder, is there a specific reason to it, or is he just more comfortable with it?
Maybe Pablo, you can tell us when you do your run through.
Yeah,
I'd be
sure.
interested to hear that.
I can use the standard surface, but I'm used to working with it
Mhm.
in Arnold, not in Redshift yet. So I'm trying to make the transition. So for the battle, I'm gonna stay with the standard material because I'm more used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to explain right now. Focus on your setup. But
No, a very prudent decision though. Stick with what you know while you're learning the new
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
you shouldn't try new stuff in a competition.
Well, not
Stick
that
to
you
the
shouldn't,
safe
just that
stuff.
you should be aware of the risk if
Yes.
you
Yeah.
do.
Exactly.
But,
Ooh, I
yeah.
love that bloom.
We'll let Pablo get on with some of his
Yeah.
look development.
Armin,
while-
you think you're ever going to get into karma?
Definitely, I will be using it, but I'm not sure how much I can use it right now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it looks great, but for a personal project for personal projects, for personal projects, I feel like maybe it's too much. Like I don't really need the
All the Solaris stuff.
yeah. Like right now, I still can't justify it for myself. If I end up using more complex setups with the need to hop between programs or just go back and forth, then 100% I will be switching to the Solaris workflow. But right now, I'm still good with the normal workflow and the and Redshift, because I love Redshift.
Yeah, I do.
Yes, it's awesome.
What do you guys, who are
Oh.
you looking at now? I got lost.
Let's
I'm on.
take a look at Yuri. Let's move on.
Okay.
Down move on down the road here.
13 minutes.
Now Yuri's got that nice detailed stem. Looks like he's got
Oh
the
wow,
cap going on, and
very
now we've got
beautiful
some,
mushroom.
and now he's got individual colors on the little sort of nodules on the top of the
I
mushroom.
really like the choice here to make the tiny like spots, make them colorful, but he's actually staying very sort of loyal to the image of mushroom that we all have in our heads when we think about a mushroom, the red mushroom with white dots in nature, but now they're all colorful instead of
It
white.
kind of looks like a cookie.
It does. It has sort of sprinkles on it. But I think the shape and this profile is very appealing. I think this looks very convincing as a fungus. I could see this almost alongside I think this could sit in like a Megascans environment, almost very
Yeah.
realistic, sort of hold its own against
Woo.
that level of realism. And let's see some more working with ramps here, and then some attribute randomization. So again, these are kind of the utility, some utility nodes that we would expect to see when laying the groundwork for making a piece of geometry that's got a lot of that's very solid in it's very anchored to reality, but has a lot of variety to it as well. And so here it looks like maybe he's changing the scale of the points of those little nodules that are scattered on there, or their adaptivity to being remapped by a ramp, taking their attribute from something further upstream. So again, this is a way of building up a piece of geometry so that it's dependent on the steps that have come before, so that you can make little changes up above, and that will result in big changes in the geometry. Very good to see, because that sort of proceduralism lends itself well to being copied and instanced, and the parameters tweaked a little bit. Why do we make procedural things? It's because if we need to make a lot of them, we can very easily make a lot of them. And I think he's setting this up for success in that regard.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's using the mask, which he made up there with the distance from geometry. So essentially, the closer these points are to that shape, he's remapping the p-scale based on that distance. So maybe the ones that are closer to the shape are going to be bigger. Maybe they're going to be smaller. I guess we will see. But he is remapping it based on that mask.
Yeah, very well observed. And looks like he's changing the ramp so that it's not that there's just it's not that there's an even gradient in sizes between the smallest and the largest, but rather that's tweaked so that there's a few large ones and then many smaller ones. This is there's a pattern that's found in nature a lot as well, where you rarely see a very smooth gradient between two things. You see it sort of stepped in that way. So it's neat to see. Very well observed. Somebody's either been looking at the reference a lot or just kind of been looking at mushrooms a lot on their own.
But there's a great documentary called Fantastic Fungi, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Very, very recommended. I watched it a while ago, so I actually don't really remember anything, but it is really, really fascinating.
It's fascinating. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, definitely agree. And the multicolored nodules here, I'm interested to see how those kind of influence the look of the overall, the final. If we get a render, then how it looks in the render, and if we just get a capture of the viewport, then how that looks. Oh, we can sort of see it here. Very interesting.
Okay,
And,
less than 10 minutes.
oh, should we try and do one more quick
let's
run through?
Let's switch to Christos again.
Okay, we'll quick touch base with everybody before the end here. We don't want to.
Oh wow!
Look at this. We've got a bouquet.
Also, animation.
Oh, very good.
But
Oh my gosh.
given the time, I want to do something.
Very nice.
It looks like animated noise kind of being moved through the geometry there, and the mushrooms all kind of reacting in an appealing way. I like that a lot, and good color too.
And of course, like just animating a line based on the noise, it's such a nice way of getting at least, especially if you're doing some R&D, it's so good to just get something based on the noise. You don't need to worry about it. Of course, you can just keep layering it, putting it on top, and just with some tweakings, the offset values, tweaking small details, you can get so many different variations of just one setup.
And let's see, looks like there's at least one other side effects node in here, the fast remesh.
Fast remesh, yes.
Fast remesh, yes.
News to me, but I love those two words close to each other.
Nice.
Oh, it seems like fast remesh actually freaked out.
Well, we'll look forward to.
If I remember correctly, fast remesh was actually introduced in the competition that Side Effects had a couple of years ago, the Tech Art.
Oh, how interesting!
Yeah.
That was a great competition.
Yeah. If I'm correct, Christos won that competition, right?
Yeah, that was a year ago.
Yeah.
With
you won with the hexagonal tool.
Yeah. Working on version 2 right now.
That's amazing.
Which is going to be more towards game engines and for mostly for games. The first version was I had some high poly stuff there, so I remember I rendered the final video on Redshift, but now I want to make it more towards games. I lost my train of thought here.
Oh no!
See, that's why you just tell us at the end. You don't have to tell us why. Let's let you get that back on track. We'll go and look at Nitson's screen.
We have 7 minutes.
Oh my gosh! Now they're tipping their caps. Look at this, and they're growing and shrinking too. I don't know why I find this so amusing.
I'm really, really liking this.
This is a party.
We've got the faces on the proper side now. They're sort of oriented. They're not reorienting themselves. We've got this appealing sort of bobbling motion of the tops here. We've got the growing and shrinking.
Into virtual reality? Is anyone hanging out in the metaverse? I mean, this would be kind of a fun place to go,
I've been doing a lot of work. I've been doing a lot of work on the Quest recently.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, this would be fun to see these guys all bopping along.
Yeah.
Especially if they're towering over you.
Right.
But this is great. So now he's doing some final troubleshooting of the animation here, which I think is good. The motion is nice. So I look forward to seeing that. Should we move to Pablo?
Yeah, let's do it.
Now I want to see this look development sort of continuing. Look at this. We have these nice,
gorgeous, Pablo.
Nice strands.
Yeah.
Kind of like your hair.
That's the inspiration, I'm sure. Oh,
beautiful
we've got
long
sort
hair.
of a shallow depth of field effect as well. Okay.
Yeah. which is very cool, and also similar to a jellyfish, I would say.
Yes.
Definitely. I think the similarities of those organisms is not lost on Pablo. He's got this nice rainbow fungi, which is not dissimilar from a jellyfish. I think this is lovely. I'm looking forward to this. I think the variety of forms that have come out and the variety of delivery formats too, where we'll have a fully rendered still and we'll have some viewport captures, we'll have some animations. It's great to see the different working methods of these Houdini professionals. Oh, he's still lighting. Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe let's move to Yuri as well. Deb, how are we on time?
We are just almost 5 minutes.
Okay.
Less than
Yuri
5 minutes.
also rendering.
Yuri rendering as well. Great. Good to see. And Mantra too. All right. Old school.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Very good. So that'll take up the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, so with Mantra, you really need to put at least 5 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes just for the render to emerge. But of course, it's the old reliable.
Yes.
I would say even you don't need to save your scene. It will not break. It will hold up.
You're going to get a great looking frame. You're just going to get it a week from now.
Yeah.
But very nice. We're getting some good reflections off the top there, and the shadows cast by the little nodules give that really good sense of sort of texture as well on top. Yeah, really like this.
I would also say about Mantra, just as a side note, of course, it's not like applicable here, but if you're dealing with smokes, I would highly recommend Mantra because it's very fast with smoke simulation.
Yeah, that's a great point. If you're rendering out some pyro or you're rendering out the pyro layers of a scene, then definitely consider Mantra because you're going to get a great look volumetrically, and it actually is quite fast, like you're saying, compared to some of the other options you might have.
I was even comparing it to Redshift, and sometimes Mantra is faster, which is very weird, but it is true.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
Also, in terms of the look itself, I mean, the Redshift now is making some adjustments to their material with the volume, and it's starting to get much nicer. But up until I would say maybe last year, it was still not looking like super great. You need to adjust really a lot of stuff to get a nice smoke simulation out of Redshift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, know thy renderer. Definitely an important thing for any professional.
Exactly.
Okay.
Every engine has its own limits. Like you need to really. All right. Maybe one last look at everyone before we finish up. How much time do we have?
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Okay. Christos, what have you got? Let's see. Now, don't stop to talk. Don't stop to talk to us. That was a rhetorical question. You do your thing.
I got a fancy base, which is not fancy at all.
Well, let's look at
that. Nothing else. I'm. How much time do we have? I don't
not
have
long.
time.
So you talk through
2
this when
minutes.
you're done. You keep
2
working
minutes.
on it.
Yeah.
We're just going to take a peek over
2
your
minutes?
shoulder, and
Yeah.
What can I do in 2 minutes? Well,
Don't talk to us.
no
Don't
talking.
talk to us.
All right, let's go look at
listen
Nitsa.
to Nitsa. Oh, nice sky actually.
Full screen. All right.
Simple
Yay.
sky. It's actually much nicer.
It's a party.
It's a good viewport render right here. We've got the high quality lighting here. We've got some shadows. We've got some AO, it looks like. Very good. And widescreen too. Very good.
And the Houdini viewport can actually be super nice for rendering stuff. You can get a lot of stuff on it. Yeah.
As we're seeing right now, it looks like he's rendering to IP. He's rendering to MPlay right now. So the interactive viewer. And that's a viewport capture right there. And I think that is, I think that's adorable.
There's also an OGL render ROP node.
Yeah.
For those.
That's actually a really good node. You
it
can
is
do so much.
Very useful.
It can save you.
Yeah. Let's look at Pablo real quick.
Pablo.
Oh, we have 3 versions now.
Got some company.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's doing Redshift instances there. No, it looks like the geometry is actually there.
Geometry.
Oh, less than 1 minute. Okay.
Make sure to save because it might crash now.
Save it up, and let's move on to one last look at Yuri here.
Yuri.
And we've got that lovely mushroom kind of sitting there.
Yeah,
Very exciting. You can
colorful.
almost feel it under your fingers. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks
That's
very
nice.
delicious, gotta say.
Got some rim light, which I like.
Yes, very good. All right, so coming into the final stretch here, it's been a wonderful battle to watch unfold. And
has.
as all these wizards
Great battle.
have been teaching us as we go. So we always appreciate that, and it takes some real chutzpah to decide to battle. So I salute all of our contestants. I know it's not easy.
Okay. And we're done. Woohoo!
Right.
Good job.
Well done,
Alright.
everyone.
Well done.
Yay!
Goodness. Look at
Oh,
what
we got a flop
did.
on in there too. All right.
Yeah.
go. There we go. Nitsan, you can make that full screen real quick. And then how about everyone? We're going to go through everyone. So Christos, let's have you first. And Nitsan, Pablo, and Yuri, you can stop sharing if you want to look at what Christos did. And then we're going to go through each one of you guys. So Christos, tell us what you did. It's so cute. It's a flower pot.
I made the rainbow fungi. I didn't go for so like photorealistic, more like stylized, I guess.
Yeah,
thing. Yeah,
very
that's all.
magical.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, I'm getting a Mario vibe in here, and I'm loving it. I
Yes,
don't know
yes,
why,
yes,
but I'm really getting a Mario vibe.
Yeah.
yes. I got stuck at some point with vertex colors and things like that because I wanted to remap them in a very specific way.
Okay.
I wanted for them to, have the colors of the rainbow instead of just random colors.
Uh-huh.
So that took me some time to understand how I'm going to do it. And that's all.
That looks
I
beautiful.
tried to get a pot after that, but no time.
Very perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I love it. It's so cute.
Yeah, it is very
about
cute.
your nodes that you want to highlight.
Yeah, sure. Let me stop that. So I guess the thing that I did was have for each loop for the points the metadata, and I could feed different variations for bends and for noises.
Got it.
So that's a thing that I did for just the
Right.
curves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's
And lots of random stuff, not random stuff, lots of randomizers, but based on the rules, instead of just being random. So I
great.
think that's all.
Yeah.
No
Wonderful.
simulation, no pyro, no renders.
No. No, but it's perfect. And you use the labs quick material. That's another labs tool.
I did? Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah.
So I used 3 labs tools. Way to
You
go,
made
Christos.
side effects
Nice.
proud.
We were expecting about 100, but no problem.
Spirit of Louise and Paul are smiling down
Yeah.
upon you right now.
Yeah.
So cute.
Yeah.
Okay, Yuri, do you want to share your
Yeah,
screen?
for sure.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, so I looked at, can you see,
Yes.
can you see this? Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
just look at this and I was like, okay, this is okay for reference. So yeah, I tried to keep it as simple as possible. So that's why you guys were saying like not a lot of no's, but yeah, just to make sure it got through and there was
Yeah.
something in the end.
beautiful.
So I'm terrible with modeling, so I just started with the tube and I started doing some noises. To get the cap, I just did like a boolean of a sphere on like another sphere. And from there, I like smoothed so it would be a bit better. And like instead of just trying to boolean everything together, I just started to do with VDB
Yeah.
from polygons and then converting it back. And then I did a mask for the top just to get the area where I would scatter the points on. And then I did a group based on the mask for the limit. From there, I just got a sphere and just did like a mountain to it. It didn't really matter too much, like if it was perfect or not, because I would bring it again to VDB and it would be connected. So I didn't worry about the intersections and stuff like that. So then they're there and they have the colors, and from there they're being turned into VDB again. So now I have all those lovely lumps. And then I got a group just for the stem, which was just like referencing the stem itself, just like a group by bounds. Got another mask from geometry here, just for the top. And so I wanted to make the top color, so I did it like that. And then from there, I did an attribute transfer of the colors from here, from the points itself, back to these guys. And I'm smoothing the color once again, and then that's the render of it.
Nice.
Yeah, I think you've achieved a really nice look here.
So do I.
Thank you. Yeah, if I had more time, for sure, like there's still a lot of stuff that can be like varied and like make it more like the reference, right? Like this has like these parts which are like smaller, and then the bigger ones go towards here. And
Yeah.
so I would work on like adding these details, and that's kind of stuff. Where's my Houdini go? And sorry about that.
It's okay.
Anyway, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And when you asked if like why I broke the reference, like on the transform, that's just like kind of like a tick or something. Like it's just like something that I do because I had so many times that I left it on for some reason, and that like in this case it wouldn't make any difference, right? Like, but there was so many times in my life that I left it on for some reason, and then it just broke something. So I always just take it out.
That's
like just for just because, like, you know, just for practice.
I can imagine maybe like the object is actually moving and you just want to get it on the first frame, but then if it stays on, it will always transfer with it. So you're just gonna ruin your setup. So that makes a lot of sense.
So it's just something that I do. Yeah, like for the sake of what I learned.
Okay, very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Yuri.
Great
job.
Thank you. Thanks.
Nitsan.
Sure. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I've made those crazy mushrooms. And
mushrooms
at the beginning,
mushroom.
Mushrooms
on mushrooms. That was the idea, because like rainbow is such an abstract, not abstract, such a goofy word. So I was like, okay, let's not take this seriously and make it goofy and funny.
Good.
So so I basically started with a curve, and I created this wrangler here, which makes it dance like a really cute, worm, and it's basically a cosine or a sine, which I added some frequencies and offset to it, and then I took the curve view from the resample node and remapped the amplitude. So if I wanted to dance a lot in the bottom or not. So I had some control over dancing.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I took the tip of that curve and I stick the cap to it. And the cap, actually the color of the cap going crazy is the same operation of the noising of the position. it's a sine with some frequencies that I remapped to a color. And so I got all the wobbly stuff going on, and I created a smiley face because we got to be high, and we started dancing. Then I was like, okay, it's nice, but let's make it a
Let's
party of
give him some
mushrooms.
friends. He's
Yeah.
lonely.
So I created a grid, and I painted some painted some masks. So I got a mask for P scale and for density. And then I used the mask. I combined all the masks together with a Wrangler and copied everything.
Wait, you
And,
had both
we
of
got,
those attributes on under one paint node?
Yeah, it's a really nice feature
I
of
didn't
the
know that.
paint node. Yeah, you can add you go here to the attributes tab, and you can add as
Oh,
many layers as
snap.
you want.
Look at that.
Oh
And
my
if you want to
God.
switch between them, you can go here, and then you can select and paint one by
Oh, very
one.
good.
It's really comfortable, to be honest. It's a really nice node.
I want to compliment
You
you on
always learn something
your
new.
on your node network as well. It's very efficient.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope you liked it. Then I went a little bit to the object level and added some like sky and lighting and stuff. And there we go.
So great.
Yeah,
Yay.
very
Mushroom
cool.
friends.
And
Good
he
job.
stayed true to the whole naming and like making sure everything is organized to the end. Everything was named correctly. Everything was color coded. Everything was very organized.
Yeah, it's a great habit that's going to serve you well in your future. Working by
Thank
yourself or with others too. That's
Great.
very good.
Will serve
Thank you
you
so
very
much.
well, but and also it will serve your colleagues very well. They will be
Indeed.
very happy to work
Yeah.
with you.
When they'll try to read my Vex Wranglers, I hope it would help them. Really.
Yeah.
Nice. Pablo, you're up.
Cool. Let me share my screen. So this is the final render.
Oh, wow.
Well, kind of
Ooh.
final render. I had to stop it because I was trying to do the bucket render, but yeah, time finished. So this is the one I had. I went for a more abstract approach to the whole motion thing. In the beginning, I tried to use. Let me show the network here. I tried to use the strands here. My initial thought was using the strands to create the stems and then instance the caps that I was going to do with this geometry. But as a mistake, the strands went down. So I thought, nah, I kind of like this. So I went for this approach instead. And they kind of ended up looking like jellyfish at some point. But I really like the variety between mushroom and jellyfish. So just as an explanation, yeah. So I went with a. Why is this not updating? Did I left something?
You're on ghosted view.
Oh. No, it should be fine. Okay, so yeah, it's probably a viewer bug. So I didn't really like the shape at the end, but if I had more time, I might have tweaked this shape. So it's a remesh with a divide, which ends up with these hexagonal, beautiful shapes that I love. And I use this setup as both an extrude to do with an inset only, and an attribute noise for the color, which I also use to delete some of the
divide to create the hex pattern. Is there something special on the divide that does that?
Oh yeah, you have to check the compute dual. That's the only thing that it needs. Because if you don't check this, I'm not sure what it does, separation, because it looks the same as the remesh, but with compute dual, it ends up with these hexagonal shapes.
Sweet.
Yeah, and some pentagons as well.
Yeah, that's because of the clip that I did here, which is not very clean.
Oh no, it's the compute dual. It doesn't produce only hexagonal shapes. It also produces some. Yeah, by default, it's
okay.
I think you can have a spherical, solely hexagonal shaped object.
Right.
There's a specific term for that geometry, but I can't recall now.
Okay.
Oh,
Thanks.
I've
cool.
made my research. By the way,
yeah.
oh, yeah. Sorry. Well, you use your delete node to randomly select and delete some of the hexagons.
It's
The
an attribute
group node
noise.
actually also does that now.
Yeah, and it's an attribute noise for the color, which I also use as an expression, which deletes based on CD. So it randomly deletes some of the colors that fall below 0.5.
There's also a labs node for that.
Yeah. But isn't that now integrated in the group node? Like the same technique is now part of the actual group node, like officially
really?
comes with, yeah. So on the group node, you could actually check the last option, and it has select by random, and you could just play with the random selector and then just do that.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know this was here.
Random job.
Yeah, this is, I believe, the same algorithm that came with the labs random selection tool. So since it was very popular when the labs node came out, I think they just implemented it in the official node. It is very, very useful.
Very
nice.
cool. Thanks, everybody.
So yeah, this is the mountain node to add some noise on both sides. This one is I deleted all the faces and kept the lines. So to use a polywire to make the external structure, which ended up looking like this. I wanted to have like the rainbow part on the hexagons and also keep a bit of bioluminescence feel with the lines here. And for the strands, it's a kind of simple setup. I did this circle and scattered some points. These are for the popnet, and the others are for the pyro. The whole thing is the pyro. Well, as Armin said, the whole idea here is to have the pyro at back the popnet. So this is the pyro. At the end, I added it was a little bit more turbulent at the beginning, but at the end I added gas axis force to have like helix kind of shape. And so yeah, the pop get affected. They are being added by an attribute. So at the beginning, they get the attribute from the original point, which is set here from the point wrangle. It's just an ID, a special ID that won't change with every particle. So I can add them later on. And I tried to do a volume thingy here, but I didn't really like it, or maybe I didn't have enough time to test it. So I left a switch here, which it's now set to the strands, which are the ones that are rendering. And at the end, I wanted to add a little bit of background, which is the copy to copy transform. I wish I had time to do something more efficient, but the copy transform I had to do.
Welcome to the club.
It looks very cool.
Love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it looks great.
Thanks.
Okay, so if everybody can share again, and now it's time to vote. So all you guys, please share so we can see everything all together again. And then now, actually,
you have the poll?
Yeah, the poll's all ready to go. If you go to your Discord and go to the poll, let's see here. Houdini Battle poll. And yeah, here we go. Everybody vote. And you can vote for more than one, as you know.
Any special things that voters should keep in mind while they're casting their votes, Deb?
Right, like I usually don't have a metric or what's it called, a rubric, but I have thought about it, and Armin, Justin, oh look, you got your kitty. Like basically, like the way that you can think about it is aesthetics, technical. Those are the two main ones, right? The techniques and the aesthetics. Anything else you guys can think of?
I mean, here right now, everyone followed the initial briefing.
The brief.
So we don't need to like take that into consideration. But of course, if someone doesn't really follow the idea, then that would be also a factor. But everyone followed it, so
Yeah.
nothing really to
That
add
is
here.
no, but I
It-
agree that
yeah.
that's also imagination, and
Mhm.
I value that, like creativity, imagination. Those are the things, I think, main things.
I mean, at the end of the
I
day,
think that
I think. Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
no. Oh, there are times that even with some keywords, I might have a clear image of what I want to do, and even like looking for different images on Google or something doesn't help at all. So first thing I did was when we got the theme was to look for the references, and then I was like, you know what? No, I have something very specific on my mind. I'm sticking
Yeah,
with that.
exactly.
Usually, in each battle, we have one player that does this.
Rogue.
So
There's always one.
one person already knows what they're gonna do. Like they exactly have a vision, and then three more usually gather references, see what they want to do after that. It's fun to see. Sometimes people have a clear vision just right from the start. and
Yeah,
they stick
it's
to it.
and I love how different it's always different. Everyone comes up with something new. So I think we have a winner, you guys.
Who is the winner?
Great. Well,
Good.
well deserved.
Congrats!
Yeah.
Congrats!
Oh, and I forgot to mention the winner gets Grid Market's cloud rendering credits, which it's simming and rendering. So I will be in touch about that. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you everybody for joining us. This was so fun. And thank you so much to the players. It's really a community service what you do. And it's so fun to watch you guys work. Thank you so much to our commentators, Justin and Armin. And thank you, Armin, for helping me organize this battle. We're going to try to be more
Always.
consistent now.
Yeah, especially with me finally being in Germany, I'm more available. I'm gonna do my best to
It
keep up
helps.
with the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deb, for setting it all up and being the
My
driving force
pleasure.
behind the Houdini battles. We all appreciate it. This
Oh,
is really fun to be a part of.
all my pleasure. Thank you so much. Okay, have a great day,
Thank
everyone.
you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Good job.
Congrats.
Bye.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Nitsa.
Congratulations.
Bye.